Hi guys, how are you? Let me just move this. Okay, well, happy Thursday. Just let me know when you guys sign on. If you're here, just write hi or let me know that you're here. I wanted to just pop on today and do a couple things. One, I wanted to talk a little bit about a few ways that stress impacts health. And we talked about this a little bit before when I was talking about fear. Since fear and stress can affect the body in the same ways because they're sort of similar sides to the same coin. But the other piece that I wanted to talk about is really around this kind of pessimism versus optimism difference and what that looks like and really sort of how that impacts health. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just dive right in. So one of the ways that stress impacts health is that it affects your gut microbiome, right? So the makeup of the different bacteria in your gut. So stress actually impacts your gut health. It impacts the balance of the bacteria in your gut, which is interesting, right? Because some of us may experience more significant gut issues when we're stressed, or it may exacerbate health issues that we already have related to our gut. But it actually can change your gut flora, which is really interesting, right? Because we're talking about ways that stress, and I'll get a little bit more into what that looks like, actually impacts your physiology, it impacts your body, right? And we talked also at one other video I did, I remember, about the difference between your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system, right? So the sympathetic nervous system is the kind of fight or flight, like ready to go. It's kind of when you're amped up, when you're feeling like adrenaline is pumping, when there's some sort of perceived threat, even if the threat is only in your mind. Like you're feeling stressed about a meeting you just had with your boss, or you're anticipating something that you're worried about happening. Anything where you're in that kind of like stressed out, amped up state. Maybe you feel like your heart is kind of racing. You may feel like you're breathing heavy. So that's that sympathetic drive. That's that kind of stress response. The parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest, right? It's that kind of calm, relaxed, when you're in a peaceful place. That's how you're feeling, right? And that state for your body should be the majority of how we're feeling, right? The body is sort of meant to have like blasts and moments of sympathetic arousal for various things, right? But it's not meant to be in that state for like hours or prolonged periods of time. Because the parasympathetic state is really, really important for digestion. So stress would be really impacting your digestion if your body can't actually digest food because you're in this like stressed out state all the time, right? And also your body clicks on its healing and repair mechanisms, which you just need for basic like maintenance in your body, cellular repair, moving out the things that aren't working, doing sort of like repair and restoration and kind of just the maintenance that's involved in taking care of a really complex body. That happens in a parasympathetic state most efficiently. So when your body needs to go through some natural healing for whatever may be going on in your body, you really need to allow that stress, that sympathetic system to kind of switch off so that you can be in a more sympathetic state for that healing to occur, for that natural system, natural healing that's set up already in your body to just do what it's supposed to do. Okay, so that's way 2. Way 3, which is an important one for all of us who've ever experienced hormone imbalances, me included, still dealing with some of that stuff. Happy to talk about that one day if anybody's ever interested. I feel like I've done just about all the things you can do for hormone balance. It's a lot better, but there's still some other things that maybe need some tweaks. But elevated cortisol, right? So cortisol, your stress hormone, as people call it, I mean, it does other things in your body, but I know that's sort of its label. It is released when you have stress. It's also supposed to go in more of it's supposed to be highest in the morning, and then it kind of has a curve that goes down throughout the day, so that by the end of the day, you're feeling tired. You're more ready for bed. but it has that adrenaline piece to it. So cortisol, since your body prioritizes what it perceives to be a threat or danger, right? It's like we don't really care about your hormones being balanced and you getting your period on time if there's a tiger that's going to attack you in 5 minutes and you're going to die, right? So your body has to kind of prioritize these different things. So it will prioritize pumping out cortisol, making cortisol and pumping out cortisol to deal with whatever threat is there. So is that chronic stress? Is that a stressful job? Is that a stressful relationship? Is that being in a state of worry and anxiety all the time? Is that reacting to perceived things? Is that just kind of a revved up sympathetic system as a result of a trauma? There could be a whole host of things. Are you working yourself to the bone and really not giving yourself a chance to relax? That cortisol will keep pumping itself out, and your body will prioritize making that instead of funneling the building blocks of making estrogen and progesterone. So your body will prioritize making cortisol over progesterone and estrogen. That's a problem, right? So one of the things that we work with if someone's having hormone issues is stress, and trying to make sure that your body is actually making the estrogen and progesterone that it needs to be, and that it's not being funneled into making cortisol. Your body will actually take progesterone and it will make shuttle it to make more to make more cortisol if you need it. So that's one of the ways that people get this imbalance and get one of the ways that you can have more of like an estrogen dominance type of profile where your estrogen may be out of balance with your progesterone because your progesterone may be swiped out in favor of cortisol. There's a lot more complex factors that go into that that I could go into if you were interested, but that's kind of my quick overview. I also want you to think about your signs of stress, right? Like, how do you know when you're experiencing stress for you? Is it like an increased heart rate? Is it a headache? Is it a backache? Is it GI issues, shoulder ache, stomach ache, fatigue, sleep problems, appetite? Like, what does it look like for you? What do those symptoms look like for you? I'm kind of wondering if I want to save the pessimism versus optimism conversation for tomorrow, because I feel like I have a lot to say about that, and I kind of don't want it to get lost in the stress talk. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back tomorrow. I'm going to do a video tomorrow where we talk all about pessimism, and we talk about optimism and how they impact your health, because I feel like I have quite a bit to say about that, so I'm going to kind of just put that on pause until tomorrow. But I think it's really important to understand our own signs of stress so that we know when we're in that like fight or flight place for us, when we're kind of feeling revved up, amped up. And it could be a reaction to being in a really long line at the grocery store, or being in traffic, or having somebody cut you off, or getting in an argument, or getting an assignment dumped on you 5 minutes before the end of the workday, which just happened to me today. But things where you're feeling this kind of response, this sympathetic arousal, right? We could talk about at some point, if you want, ways to sort of just manage that, right? Ways to sort of choose a more peaceful approach in those situations and kind of overall decreasing your level of arousal so you're not quite as much on a hair trigger. There are lots of ways to do that, right? Meditation being one of them, yoga, other things that kind of are bringing down your system. Deep breathing, changing your internal thoughts, changing what you say to yourself. So let me know if this stuff is making sense to you guys. If you're like, wow, I didn't realize how much this impacted my health, or what can I do about it? And we can have a little conversation about it on the thread of this post. So let me know, what are your signs of stress, right? What are the things that come up for you that indicate for you you're stressed? Is it that your hands are sweaty? Is it that you can't really think? Let me know what those are for you, because they're a little different for everyone. So let's chat about that. And then tomorrow, I'm not sure what time, but tomorrow I'll do a video on optimism and pessimism and what that looks like for your health. All right, well, have a good night. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.